This is things you might have heard from Conversation Project. I am Jake Van Payne, and what you hear today on this Thursday, the 13th of November, 2025, we are now open for business again. And what does that mean? I'm not sure. What do we learn? Probably not very much, but we will talk about that plus eight other stories or seven other stories for you on this day for the Conversation Project. Now, the Conversation Project is your home for headline news, information, and pop culture references that are really worth charting about. And you help us pick those by following us on our feeds on Facebook and X and giving us some ideas on where we're going with these every single day. And we're glad to have you along for the ride. As we said, we're talking about Donald Trump opening the government again. Donald Trump maybe getting himself in hot water with Epstein again. And gay apps leaving China. How will they come together? I have no idea, but we're going to find a way to put them together because we're talking about all three of those things. Plus headlines for five other stories for the eight we'll give you for this Thursday. Now, I'll remind you that our website home is conversationproject.com for more details about how we do things and where to find more things. They're all there, including information on other sponsors. We'll talk about ground news in a bit. And of course, our partnership programs to help us keep things going here. Yeah, we're already opened up pretty weird. So let's just keep it weird, why don't we? And go to the first story, the most important story that answers no questions and may tell a few more lies. Next story. Number one is Trump signs funding bill to end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Congress sent the compromise bill to the White House, and Trump signed it pretty quickly, ending the record-length shutdown after weeks of stalled talks. Oh, by the way, the other record that he broke was his own. The package pairs short-term funding, which side deals on hot-button riders, buying time for appropriations to write full-year bills later. Maybe, because this thing basically funds us all the way up until January 1st. Yeah, that long. Now, federal agencies begin to restart protocols pretty much immediately, but the backlogs and the missed maintenance and, of course, paychecks and freezes and hires are going to linger in through the holidays. So by the time we get to the holidays and get things fixed, we'll have a holiday, January 1st, that we'll have to unfix them or refix them or try fix them based on how you want to take your look at this. Unions are pressing for back pay and clarity on how this thing's going to work. It will take a while for contractors to get their lost hours and may not be reimbursed because they're not government employees. We shall see. Politically, the vote math gives both parties some cover, but both parties look like jackasses in the long run. Polling through the shutdown tilted blame towards Republicans and Trump, even though it was, in theory, Democrats who did not join in the votes because Republicans had more votes. The whole point was the fight pushed on for ACA subsidies, which aren't actually there in this compromise. What they'll get is a vote to talk about it, in which case the Republicans will probably have it fail anyway, and their premiums will go up in January regardless. Oh, what else happened yesterday? Newly released Epstein emails give claims that Trump, quote, knew about the girls. House Democrats released emails in which Jeffrey Epstein wrote that Trump knew about the girls, adding fresh fuel to the long-running political spat that is Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Keep those guys' names straight because it gets real confusing really fast. The 2011 note to Ghislaine Maxwell actually referenced Trump spending hours with the victim. Another in 2019 email discussed some shaping media narratives. A lot of stuff going back for 3 emails in total were released coming from the Epstein estate, not from the Epstein files. They got this in subpoenas. 2 of them going to Michael Wolff, who we know is not a great guy, but hey, he's always there to drop a dime when he needs them. And one to Ghislaine Maxwell, who actually talked about some of the creepiness that is how Epstein and Trump knew more about what was going on together than Trump wants to let on. White House rejects the claim and points to past statements that Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago because he found out he was a creep. Documents actually intensify the pressure for broader disclosure from DOJ and the Epstein estate. Expect subpoenas and hearings to test what allegations was going on, who collaborated with what, and what's hearsay. Oh, by the way, now the government's open and we've sworn in one particular representative who will sign off on the release of the big document bar, or at least the vote to release the documents in the House for Epstein. We may see more stuff. Now, that doesn't mean the vote's going to pass. This just means everyone has to go on the record and say, Yes, release them. No, release them. And if you want to be on that lever, want to be on that list of people who said, you know what, I don't want to know what Epstein did. That'll be pretty telling for your career. What else did Trump do? He killed the penny a year or so ago, and now it's officially being post-mortem as the very last penny went to production in Philadelphia essentially yesterday, ending more than 230 years of minting them to basically save some money. The cost of a penny is 4 cents. And so if it's only worth 1 cent legal tender, you get the math. The math doesn't math very much. However, the penny will remain legal tender for as long as it needs to be there. Treasury projects say tons of millions of annual savings will come from this one. Meanwhile, the penny will cause issues for your stores. And we already had stories on that so far. Retailers are looking to round up for most things, round down if they can. And they've always seen signs in your stores about exact change to avoid some of these issues. Now, this isn't so much of an issue in 2025 and beyond because in most cases we still need that decimal point of money to work off things. In some cases, that's points on points, if you will. But since a lot of people have moved to moving things cashless, they're doing things with your credit card or their debit cards in some sort of app back and forth. The actual physical penny isn't such a big deal unless you're coming in with cash, and then you have to deal with that one. This may make the Dave Ramsey envelope system a bit obsolete. Or maybe it's a bit retro, if you will. But if you can't get the exact change, it doesn't quite work out the way you want to do that. Now, the phase out is something that has been in place for a while, but right now we're seeing it come out through. Now, the cost of a nickel is somewhere like 8 9 cents. So nickels may be out there soon, but you can't just get rid of all coins and just get rid of them because of math. We'll see how this plays out going forward. So math is actually a sticking point for the YouTube TV Disney dispute, but it's not so much the math and the price of the ESPNs, it's the price of the ABCs. An unusual break from the standard sports cost narrative is how much it costs Disney to run ABC and all the sports on it channel, the actual over the air channel, than the 3 billion ESPNs that they make you pay for. You don't follow? Well, work with here. The blackout continues for local stations and prime time, while live sports gaps are partially backfilled by other nights. Analysts peg Disney's weekly revenue hit to tens of millions of dollars during outage. Both sides are using on-screen calls and credits to rally subscribers as leverage to get this thing fixed. Although it's 2 weeks in, so it's going to be you thought the backdrop for what happened with the shutdown is going to be an issue. Wait till they get this one figured out. Last mile deals to make good once the political heat is down. Of course, NFL, NBA schedules intensify with the pain of what's going to happen in the future to get these things going. Missing lots of sports, missing NFL, NBA, and for me, college football. The SEC is exclusive on ESPN and ABC. So I miss out on much football because I don't want to go tracking down for different apps to find exactly what I'm looking for. This is a bigger deal than you may think it is. And while you are missing those primetime shows, which is awesome because I don't want to miss shifting gears very much often. And of course, when high potential comes back, I'll be pissed. But sports and things like that is what's making the money gap happen for Disney, not for the ESPN, but ironically for ABC. How's it going today? We're doing some new things, testing some things out. That's we've got camera angles and things going on and playing around with some of the equipment, going retro, if you will, actually going back to some of the older things and we see they work. And we want to see what you think about that. So let me know if things today are working or not working. I am stumbling a bit over words and I'm having a bit of a stomach issue. So I'm trying to calm it with some tea, and not the right kind. Supposed to be backing away from caffeine, but I'm drinking black tea today instead of green tea and trying to get you to help me out going forward. Now, this is not the part where I whine about my health issues. This is the part where I whine about the issues of the health of the show. So, like, share, and subscribe to the show here, what you're watching right now, hopefully live with us live bright and early on this Thursday morning or on the replays and others that come down. And you can help us grow the News Nerd Nation. Like the stuff you see, and I know I'm doing good work like the stuff you see, and the algorithms may show it to other folks, and we'll see if they think it's good work. Share with like-minded people, and hopefully they will join in the fun as well. And if you're not getting this natively in your feed because someone liked it today, you saw it from the algorithms, or someone shared it to you a couple times, go ahead and subscribe and going into the method. If you subscribe via our Facebook feed or our X feed, you can follow along as we post news articles every 50 minutes, and you can help us gauge the stories we talk about in later days. If you follow us on YouTube and then actually join in as a member, you can help us fund the operations here as well. We give thanks to folks who pop up here. I got Glenn in Tennessee who pops up every couple of days, and of course, Christy McKay, when she's awake, she'll still say something here because she's kind like that. But there are folks that do our regulars here on the live feed, so they'll pop up here and there and let me know. If you're watching on a replay, just let us know what we're doing. Let us know what's going on and what we can do to improve and make things work a bit better. So that's simple. That's simple to keep things going. Actual convict music, maybe. The pun had to be put in there, but this is for Akon. The singer was arrested in Georgia after police discovered he had a suspended license. Chambly police arrested Akon on a outstanding warrant tied to a missed court date for driving on a suspended license. This isn't serious, this isn't, NWA, running through the words and boys in the hood type stuff, but them things do catch up. Booking records show the arrest occurred last week. He was released on bond, no injuries, no initial charges, no incident. He went pretty quietly. The case returns to decade-old talking points about celebrity traffic offenses and tabloid rotation. We are bored. We need to talk about something. So Akon getting picked up on a warrant for missing a court appearance for having a suspended license is all we got today. It's not really convict music, but hey, we got to fill the gap. But when we spent all this time on government shutdowns and Epstein, we got to palate cleanse. But the blotter, it gets so much, so much fuller with this one right here. As a TikTok influencer's order to pay, get this, guys, $1.75 million for an affair that ended the manager's marriage. Durham County jury awarded $1.75 million against influencer Brene Kennard after the North Carolina alienation of affection law, under that law, after an affair with her manager. Now, is this interesting? Let's get dirty for a moment. The verdict leans on a rarely used tort that still exists in a handful of states, essentially blaming the woman for the affair. Now, for creators, the takeaway is a risk beyond contracts. Personal conduct can carry civil exposures in certain jurisdictions. Post-trial motions will appear very much likely because we don't give these things up, and collections is a separate battle. As you know, judgments can be made. Money paid out is hard to get. Ask the ladies who are looking for money from Rudy Giuliani. It's hard to get that money. Brand partners typically pause activations during litigation fallouts, so that means she's probably not getting whatever money she's getting. If she's worth $1.75 million for reals, I'm in the wrong business. Obviously, I'm not pushing the right thing. I should stop pushing the news, start pushing designer handbags, because apparently I'm not making the bank I want to, or athletic greens or something like that. Because obviously I'm not getting the influencer money that this young lady is working out there. So plus for getting all that work, but not so plus for breaking up the marriage and then losing all that money in the process. Sometimes legacy means something, and sometimes it's just like, yeah, that guy. JFK's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, announces a 2026 run for Congress in New York. And this is something that's been coming, actually. Jack Schlossberg launched a bid for Representative Jerry Nadler's seat, turning a famous name, semi-famous, Schlossberg's not so much as famous as Kennedy, into an open seat primary for the test in 2026 for New York 12. He enters a crowded Democratic field, though, and with instant national attention and fundraising potential because he's a Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy, or Mr. Schlossberg, if you will. I want to do the wrestling thing, but it just doesn't quite work out. Early coverage frames authenticity and retail politics as the hurdles for a political novice. Now, here's the thing. Nobody really wants him there. No one thinks he's all that great. No one thinks he's really have anything. His job is basically working out the Kennedy name and being an influencer and doing stuff like that. So he's essentially his cousin, JFK Jr., except maybe lacking a couple of years. I'm sure he's a lawyer, like, 'cause they're all lawyers, but I'm lacking some of the cattiness that is JFK Jr. The oxygen coming out of the room because, oh my God, it's Kennedy dynasty time. This guy has it in his genes, although his cousin is ruling that right now. We'll see what happens with that one. And the really sort of interesting take on this was Jerry Nadler had the inside take on this because he, of course, is leaving his role, health issues and other things after being in Congress for such a long time in New York City, or for New York, just say his New York spot. Basically said, seems like a nice kid, doesn't really have much behind him. I don't think he's going to do it. Now he's doing it, and so we'll see if he can do it, win the primary, do it, win the election, and then do the job. Not much actual political background other than it's in his genes. We'll see how it plays out. There was no rhyme or reason for pulling the story. In fact, the main reason why we pulled it because it caught my attention eyeball-wise. It wasn't a top-rated story, so that is true. It's not something that we fluked and pulled in there, but it was just we're having some issues literally with the, feeds that are giving us the actual information, um, feeding it down and actually filtering it out very, very well. So we had to take in a whole bunch of extra information to filter it out naturally. And this one just sort of pop up there. I'm not sure why we care about it. I just put it in there in the leads, and you guys put some effort into it. China is pulling two major gay dating apps from Apple Android stores. They are pulling the apps Blued and Finca from the app stores. Another setback for the LGBTQ plus visibility online in China. Now, here's the thing: it is not illegal. It's not, there's no laws against homosexuality in China, but China regulates everything and the internet to viewpoints and things they find a bit offensive or a bit not so great. They'll do what they can to limit that exposure. The existing installs will actually work for now. It's not going to be pulled off forever. There just can't get any updates. You can't download any more new things to it. It follows a broader tightening on content and civil society that groups have dropped this year. Essentially, all the content, all the talking points, all the things going on, not just specifically for the gay community. Apple confirmed the takedown and complied with government orders. Android stores followed suit pretty quickly after that one. International rights groups warn that increased isolation of LGBTQ plus users will rely on digital communities is going to be an issue, especially someplace like China where isolation is sort of the norm. In fact, it's the playbook they use to get things done. We'll see what happens going forward with the apps. As I said, not something I would pick on normally. We saw an ad for it, or saw a link for it, dropped it in there. You guys engaged with it fairly well, and it did stuck up to the rest of the actual work when we did the shifting back and forth. But it's more of a kind of a, huh, that's interesting. Let's see how conversation it actually is. And now you've got it. Let me know. Holler at me. Was it a pick? Was this a bad pick? Should we pick something else? If you are a bit leery of the stories we're posting here on the Conversation Projects, things you might not have heard, or just in general in your worldview out there, we suggest you try Ground News. We also suggest you use our affiliate link and buy one of their news plans so it gives you more details, more juice in your Ground News. Our affiliate link is this is the conversationproject.com/ground news. This is the conversationproject.com/ground news, where you can get news coverage that's so over. You literally have no excuse not to get the real coverage. They go through and aggregate news stories from everywhere across the nation, everywhere across the world, everywhere from in your local municipality, and you can get local, national, and international news on the dot and coverage that you would not expect. It also gives you coverage of the coverage. Who's actually talking about the stories, the companies behind them, the money behind them, the people behind them, the politics behind them, and what they do to give you their sort of spin to get you engaged in their news gathering. It is what it is. If you're a Fox News watcher, you know that Fox News has a certain spin to it. It's there. It is. It just happens to be there. So you understand it. But you can find out what CNN is saying about things in MSNBC or MS Now fairly soon going forward as well. It is what it is, and you can see what's going forward. And if you use something like the Vantage Plan, We have a blind spot feature that'll show you exactly what news stories they are overly playing to you or underplaying to you based on the silo you want to see. So check it out today. Use our affiliate link. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news because we get a small commission. You get 40% off their news plans. How about that? You save money and get more news than you ever take in with Ground News. The Conversation Project lives online at our online home. This is a conversationproject.com. You can email us for a conversation and just back and forth chit chat and just yelling and screaming crazy things at me. It's all valid. The conversation inbox at gmail.com. And on Facebook and X, our feeds there allow you to see what we do all day long, posting news articles from various different sources to pick in this morning show and across the day, stories for hot takes go back and forth. Course, following us on YouTube is the best way to help us out because it is a monetization thing. The more you like, share, and do things there, the bigger we have to support ourselves as well. And the less I ask for you about sponsorships and partnerships, things like that. So that's how it works. If you do more of the watching stuff, there's less of the paying stuff. But if you want to pay for some stuff, we are down for that. Today is Thursday, November 12th, 2025. I am Jay Clifton Payne. Let me know if you like this front angle thing. We have another camera that sits aside that's a technically better camera, but we don't have good enough lights for it, which is why it's been kind of fuzzy. And I'm always doing things with my thing turns. We went back to the web camera. We found some tricks to do with that one, and so we're going to adjust some things like that and just kind of work with that one, see how this works out. We're trying to upgrade, try to do better things. We need your help and support and your cheddar, your cash, your resources to do some of these things. We have had a phenomenal 2025 in spite of all the insanity that we've had in 2025, and we're looking to do some more great things in 2026. We'll talk more about those rolling into it as we are going to stop talking shut down. And once people get back to work and back to their regular paychecks, we can start asking for, the money we've been wanting to ask for before. Right now, everyone's hurting. In the meantime, have a great Thursday. We're going to do our best to roam this thing out, and we'll have some more updates on me for the weekend. So stick around for that. But don't stick around for much more of this show because for Thursday, at least, we done. Love you. Mean it. See you Friday.